Coming up, Walt Disney World is closing due to the coronavirus. Tons of paint is added to Cinderella Castle in the Magic Kingdom. We talk about what specifically prompted the decision yesterday to close the stateside resorts and what the closure of all the parks around the world means as far as your trips and all the projects Disney has in the works. All that and more on the way. This is your breaking Mickey Views News.
All who come to this happy place, welcome.
Now I'm the king of the swingers, oh, the jungle VIP. I've reached the top and had to stop, and that's what's bothering me.
Hello everyone, my name is Braden and welcome to Mickey Views News. Today is a very momentous and solemn day in the history of the parks as Disney has announced that the domestic parks, Walt Disney World and Disneyland, will be temporarily closing as the threat of the spread of coronavirus, COVID-19, increases here in the United States. Add in the fact that Disneyland Paris is also closing, and that'll now mean very soon all 12 Disney parks around the world will be closed. Truly something unprecedented in the history of the Disney parks. And since this is a serious topic, this video will be ad-free. I have no interest in profiting from stuff like this. This video's sole purpose is to give you all the information we have on the Disney end, as well as touch on just a lot of the stuff in general with what's going on with this virus. We actually had a viewer of this show who was quarantined in the Wuhan province of China when the outbreak first began. So this has been something that we've been following very closely since it first started. And however you feel about the coronavirus, whether you think people are overrepresenting it and it won't be that bad, or if you're one of the people who thinks that it could be very bad. I'm no epidemiologist, but I think we could all agree even just the threat of something like this, forget the virus itself, just the threat of it is something that is going to have some very real world ramifications, not just on a computer at the New York Stock Exchange. That's one of the places you're seeing it, but this is having effects on everything, and of course that includes Walt Disney World, which Disney has announced will be closing end of day March 15th, which means Sunday is going to be the last day of operation, and then the parks close at the end of that day, which means Monday, March 16th, the parks will be closed. They will not open to guests, so the parks will be closed starting March 16th. And it's not just Walt Disney World closing. Hong Kong, Shanghai, and Tokyo have already been closed, and now it's been announced Disneyland is closing March 14th, and Disneyland Paris is closing March 16th. So all those are joining the list here, meaning all 12 Disney parks around the world will be closed by the beginning of next week. Think about when we've had natural disasters. Those have only affected specific parks. This virus has closed every single park. So this is truly a global situation here. Now you're probably wondering, what about shopping and hotels at the parks that are going to be closing at Walt Disney World and Disneyland? Well, Disneyland Resort hotels, they're closing March 16th. Here in Walt Disney World, the resort hotels in Disney Springs, the shopping village, will remain open until further notice. Now clearly there's a lot on the Walt Disney World end because at any given time you have tens of thousands of guests that are staying at the Walt Disney World resorts, and going into the spring break season here, which Disney's putting a huge damper on here by closing the parks the rest of March, you're going to have hundreds of thousands of guests that'll have to coordinate canceling flights and rooms and all sorts of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff Disney has to worry about here. In Disneyland, Disney has said those with hotel reservations during the closure can call and cancel at any time. Same with Walt Disney World. You can get a full refund up until your check-in date. And if you miss that date for some reason, if you're unable to get a hold of Disney or if you just forget, Disney will automatically process a refund to your account within 7 days of your check-in date. So it'll be put in there automatically for you. Now, if you have an annual pass, Disney has released details saying the annual pass will be extended in its length for however long the closure is. Of course, when you buy an annual pass, you're paying for a year of it, 365 days. So let's say your pass was going to expire June 1st. Now, since the parks are slated to be closed for 15 days, that would add 15 days to your pass. So there's still 365 days available where you could have gone to the park during your annual pass. So that would now make your annual pass, the future expiration/renewal date would become June 16th. You would add 15 days onto your June 1st expiration for your annual pass. Also, if you have a ticket package, like let's say you have a 10-day ticket and you're in the parks right now and you just started using it, of course those have like expiration windows with them. Once you start using them, you only have a finite window to use all the days, right? Well, now, of course, part of that window, the parks will be closed. So what Disney is doing is extending whatever days you don't use on your ticket package into December. So you have until then to come back and use them. And if you don't get back in time, you can use whatever the value of those remaining tickets was towards another vacation. If you have special event tickets, like for a specific date, like Disney After Hours or Disney Villains After Hours, that fall on a day that the parks are going to be closed, you will get those refunded automatically, and no cancellation fees or anything like that for any of these things Disney has implemented. So as you can see, Disney is handling this so well. To see that Disney difference shine through even in times like these where Disney has so much to deal with on their end, the fact that they're doing so much proactively for us on the guest end is really, really incredible to see. So now we need to talk about what has caused all of this and how it ties in with Disney and what we may see with the parks going forward. The reason Disney announced yesterday they're closing the parks, specifically the stateside ones, it wasn't just a Disney specific decision. It really has to do with a series of events with the handling of the coronavirus here in the United States. We've already seen the coronavirus hit other countries particularly hard, first in China, later in South Korea, and now Italy is the one predominantly seeing a lot of new cases, a lot of new growth in cases, and the rate of spread here in the United States, scientists have estimated to be about 2 weeks behind Italy. So basically Italy 2 weeks ago. This is according to data analyzed by NBC News. The problem we've had here in America is that unlike countries like South Korea especially, who's been able to test around 15,000 people per day for this virus, per 1 million people in their country, they have tested 3,692 people per million as of 2 days ago. And on the other hand, we here in the United States have only tested 23 per 1 million people of the population. In South Korea, they have drive-thrus where they can do tests. They have all sorts of clinics and infrastructure and personnel to administer and process these tests in a very timely manner at an industrial scale. Here in America, that's still weeks away where we're gonna have that all together. A lot of the bottleneck here in America right now has to do with the processing of the test because it's all done manually at a lab. And since we've had so few tests here, we've had medical centers, state officials, all sorts of people that have been saying, hey, this number of current cases here in the United States is way lower than the actual number. There's no way this is correct. This is not a number that we can even use or, make any judgments off of. It's really useless because we really have no idea who has it, how many people have it, and so there's really no ability to contain it. And as such, we've seen a huge hit to the stock market. So while officials are ramping up stuff on the testing front, what is the next best thing states and governments and companies can do in the meantime? Of course, that is slow the rate of infection. This is a graph from the CDC showing how if we just leave things as is, if we just let people keep going to work, into school, into places like Disney World, mass gatherings, things like this, the virus will spread very quickly and peter out very quickly. But the number of cases will far exceed what the hospitals can handle, and that means people who get sick won't be able to get the help they need. The hospitals won't have the supplies or the personnel. So now the strategy has become trying to spread the rate of infection over a longer time interval. So basically you reduce the infection day to day. It still is going to be a lot of infections, but by spreading it out, that way hospitals will be able to keep a better handle on the cases. Everyone is able to get proper treatment. And of course, to do this, it means really everyone needs to stay at home. Implement social distancing, as the CDC says. That's the word, social distancing. That's what we're seeing right now. So what we saw yesterday was a slew of state governments from California to Ohio to New York banning public gatherings. In some instances, 250 people. Others, it's way down at over 100 people. You have to ban those gatherings. And while Disney was exempt from this emergency action that was taken in California, banning any groups of people over 250 from meeting in public, I think Disney made the proactive decision, hey, we've got to shut this down. Sometimes a single park has 40,000 people or more in it, which is pretty crazy to think about. And that's what led to the sudden closures you've seen of everything, all sorts of gatherings from Disney World to Universal to schools to sporting events. That's what caused it, is the fact that we don't really have a handle on this from a testing perspective or a containment perspective. So the next best thing is to do that social distancing where you stay at home, stay safe, and that way it won't cause any issues on the hospital end and people can be taken care of better. And this is what the concern becomes now, of course. Currently, Disney is saying Disneyland and Walt Disney World will remain closed, quote, through the end of the month. The parks are only closed temporarily, of course. They will reopen, same with everything. At least I hope so, right? But the reason I'm hesitant about this word temporary is temporary implies to people that there is a set end date where this closure will be over, everything opens back up, everything's back to normal. But the fact is, we really don't know when that date will be, when exactly things will get back to normal. So right now, these closures, to me, they're effectively indefinite, with everything that's saying, oh, we're postponing until here, we're delaying until here. Everyone's saying that sort of stuff, or Disney saying, oh, we're gonna have the parks closed the rest of the month. You notice Disney didn't say the parks will be closed until April 1st. They didn't put a date on the end of it where they're gonna open back up, because I do believe Disney and probably everyone plans for it to be fluid in terms of when exactly stuff is gonna reopen. As you've seen from all the sources and data I'm presenting to you, we really don't have a good grapple on the testing, and therefore the numbers of cases, and therefore the rate of infection, and therefore it's really impossible for anyone to say right now how long we'll be dealing with this. Will we be dealing it over the next month, the next 2 months, the next 6 months? It's really impossible to say at this point, and that's why I think everyone's sort of keeping their options open, and we're probably going to see a lot of these things that are temporarily closed for like 15 days like Disney, they'll probably be closed longer than that. That would be my guess there. So you're left thinking, this whole coronavirus situation, it's surely going to take longer than 15 days, right? I mean, looking at China, where it's been happening since January, you've had people on lockdown since January. Now they're going to start trying to get back into the normal swing of things, and the fear here is, of course, will the coronavirus start spreading again there once you reintroduce the same social situations that initiated the spread in the first place? So that's definitely something to watch, and it's really a big unknown right now. There's so much we don't know here. I'm not a scientist, but I have been following this closely, so I thought it was worth laying out the situation here with what all the experts are saying and really showing you what precipitated the sudden changes where now everything is shutting down all of a sudden here. Personally, to me, the idea of reducing the rate of spread, keeping everyone inside and all of that, it sounds like we may be in this situation for a little while here, more than 15 days at least. And thankfully right now, Disney says everyone, all the cast members will keep getting paid during this downtime, which is great to see. And I'm sure there'll probably be some government assistance coming that'll help with that as well in the near future. But obviously Disney is a company. And if we see it go from 15 days to 30 days to 60 days, stuff like that, not just with Disney, but with every company, with everything, anything with public gatherings, if there's no revenue coming into these companies and no one really knows for sure how long we're in for here, eventually if this continues over months and months and months, it could reach a point people's jobs will be in danger. And that's where this being a silly thing on the internet where it's like, look at this video of a bunch of people fighting over toilet paper, it's going to become, and it already is becoming, much more serious. Last night when I saw Disney World was closing, I was parked out front of Whole Foods and I had my sawdust mask in my passenger seat in my car from an undisclosed project I'm working on. I thought it was funny, I'm out here looking so paranoid with the mask I used to build all these sets on, and I said, Disney World is closed. It was probably too far for a tweet. I don't think most people even got it anyways. It's very hard to perceive tone through tweets, like people think you're being serious. The reason I bring this up though is, if this situation continues and the paranoia and the threat of this virus starts resulting in real world stuff like people losing their jobs, it's no longer going to be anything worth making light of, and I feel like we're already getting close to that point. So I won't be making any more funny tweets about this because it's really no longer a funny situation. It really is sad what's happening, and honestly, I'll probably be one of those folks out of a job. When the supply chain from China is at a near standstill, businesses have fewer products to sell, and people aren't buying stuff, that's going to be a supply and demand issue that no number of interest rate cuts or printing money or special economic stimulus packages from the government, none of that will fix that, right? When people aren't buying stuff and companies aren't able to produce stuff. And I make a living off of companies buying ads on YouTube, right? And you guys support me directly too. It's just such a fortunate situation I've had to begin with that I've even been able to do this so long. I just want to thank you guys so much for all your support, but it just really becomes something you think about, like how feasible will any of this be for me when the place I cover will be closed? And not only that, but also from like the business perspective with companies buying ads and stuff, all that's going to go out the window as well. And forget about me, I'm at the bottom of this food chain. Think about all the cast members who barely get by as is to make the magic for us every day. Think about the fact that all of the film and TV sets are shutting down right now. They stopped filming in Prague for Falcon and Winter Soldier, the new show coming to Disney Plus due to the virus. Celebrities and government officials are getting this virus. My point is, regardless of how big of a deal or not big of a deal you think this virus will be by itself with the actual spread of the virus here in the Western world, there is no denying just the reaction we're already seeing to the fact that this virus exists is having and will continue to have an effect on our everyday lives, where events are canceled, people won't be going to school or work, businesses stop ordering stuff from other businesses, revenue could stop. On the entertainment end especially, it really becomes challenging for Disney because the cruise line will be paused, the parks will be closed. I think a lot of people aren't going to want to go to the movie theater anytime soon. We have Disney Plus, which is awesome and will definitely help Disney in a time like this, but the issue becomes it's really hard to make new content for something like Disney Plus when you can't have a film set because of all these public gathering rules and just, for the safety of the actors and the crew and everyone like that. So there's definitely a lot to consider here. We can speculate forever, but it's really going to come down to how quickly can we up our capacity to test people, and also how well does this go economically with the concept of everyone staying from home and working from home. Definitely some things to keep an eye on. What really makes me sad is from a parks perspective, this is coming at like the absolute worst time because we have so many awesome projects in the works at Disney. We've got the Tron coaster on the way. There's 50th anniversary projects that were in the works, some that weren't even announced yet that were about to get started. The middle of Future World in Epcot right now is like a total crater, right? They can't leave that how it is. For the time being, we should see construction and everything continue. Disney's been doing a great job thus far, but as I've said, if this temporary closure extends past 15 days and extends and companies keep losing cash and their ability to produce products and sell products to people, when companies simply have no revenue coming in anytime soon, I really do believe that we could see everything grind to a halt. And a lot of things are grinding to a halt already, just in general. Specifically with Disney, things have been good so far, but there's been a lot of talk about the budget being cut for Spaceship Earth. I don't believe that's the case. The full track reconfiguration I showed you with the new building and everything is still the plan, according to my source familiar with the project. I checked it just like 2 days ago, so that should still be the case. But regardless of whatever insider ends up being right on that, if the Spaceship Earth refurb ends up being 3 months or 2.5 years, we may never even find out if the parks are closed for a while here, and Disney being a company that reinvests, when there's no new money coming in to reinvest because nobody's going to the parks, we could see what happened in 2001 where projects just completely halt altogether. Now in 2001, projects were literally abandoned, like Pop Century Legendary Years, which later became The Art of Animation. That project was abandoned outright as a result of the economic stuff and travel stuff we had at the time in 2001. I don't think we'll see Tron or the Center of Future World or any of those just be abandoned and nothing will happen with them. Those projects will be completed for sure, but things that never started to begin with, like Spaceship Earth, refurbishing that, or some of those unannounced 50th anniversary projects, who knows if they'll even have the money to do those at this point. And especially the stuff that was unannounced, I do think is highly at risk since people didn't know about it, so it's something that can easily be postponed or canceled altogether. This could really end up putting a dampener on stuff like the 50th anniversary, where even though we have till next year to get everything sorted out from the guest end and actually get our trips together and all that sort of stuff, the thing with the 50th is all the stuff for the 50th, they have to be working on it this year. This is the year where all of that happens. So that's what we'll keep a close eye on. This whole situation is so unfortunate. It really is going to affect all of us in a big way, I think, and a lot of it is largely out of our control. But all we can really do in the face of this is just face it head on, do everything we can to be prepared and stay safe out there. I'll be staying safe too, so I hope you will be as well. On a much happier note, work is going amazingly well right now in the Magic Kingdom on the 50th castle. If you recall, Disney has announced the castle will be painted for the anniversary of Cinderella. That's what they're saying. And the reason they're doing it this way is because really this is going to be the paint for the 50th anniversary starting in 2021, but they can't paint during the 2020 holiday season because of the lights that you have on the castle. So what they're doing is doing all the paint for the 50th anniversary castle now, and they're saying that's for the anniversary of Cinderella, and then next year, when it actually is the true 50th anniversary, on top of all the paint, they're going to be adding some ornamentation, like gold ribbon and all sorts of like physical stuff on the castle itself. Probably not too much. I don't think they want to interfere with the projection technology. There's going to be a special 50th anniversary show instead of Happily Ever After, and they're not going to want to get in the way of that. So I think it'll be sort of minimal, but we will get extra special ornamentation on the castle to distinguish it from the Cinderella anniversary castle and the actual 50th anniversary, the true 50th anniversary castle in 2021. Now, last year when I broke this project for the first time to you guys, I said it was going to be a rose gold castle, and then we got the concept art, and I pointed out there was a rose section on the inner castle curtain. Some people were saying, Braden, that's just, the lighting effects of the image. There's nothing there. But now, as you can see, there is indeed something there. The castle is getting what people are now calling a rose pink fade, which is what I said on the video where we talked about all the castle work they're doing. Disney has called it rose pink in some various PR pieces they've done with Good Morning America and other places. The swatch I saw for the paint color last year, it was metallic-y. Like if you search rose gold on Google, it's that rose color, but it's shiny, right? But it looks like what they're painting on the castle here doesn't have any specularity to it, like I expected. I expected it to have some sort of metallic look to it. So that's what makes it rose pink rather than rose gold. So I think we'll be calling it rose pink moving forward. The real transformation right now is on the castle spires, which are being repainted, where the distinguishment between the old faded blue and the new blue is so much different. They really are making the castle look fantastical instead of photorealistic, which I actually think is a good move, especially for the 50th anniversary, having a very fantasy-esque, very Magic Kingdom-esque castle with some very amplified colors, like we've also seen with the repaint of the castle, the Sleeping Beauty castle out in Disneyland. I definitely think it's the right decision. Let me know what you guys think. I think this looks really cool here. Soon we should be seeing those gold accents installed, as we can see in the art for the project, and that's going to look so awesome. Be sure to subscribe with those notifications on so you don't miss any of the news on the way as we cover these timed closures of the Disney parks around the world, which is going to be happening very, very shortly here. We'll keep you up to date on all the latest breaking news as Disney releases more information relating to closing the parks. This truly is unprecedented and something that we will be staying on top of. So be sure to subscribe so you stay up to date on all the latest. I'll be right here to update you on all of it as it comes in. I'll be right here in my studio. Social distancing, that's what the CDC says to do, right? I'll be doing that. I'll be right here. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe out there. This is Braden. Have a magical day.